For those of you who wish to purchase the first two complete books of my biography, please check out the description where you will find the links to my books published on Amazon, and you can write any questions or comments below this video.
I started a new chapter of my life. The air in Chicago was crisp, the streets pulsing with a rhythm that mirrored the bustling lives of its inhabitants. My father continued working as a janitor at a corporate building downtown, juggling the weight of his responsibilities with an unwavering resolve. I watched him every day as he returned home, exhaustion heavy in his eyes, but pride flickering within. He had sacrificed so much for me, grinding long hours just to make ends meet, and an unspoken understanding passed between us. I needed to step up. I was in my second year of high school, a time that was supposed to be filled with growth and exploration, but I felt uninspired. The classes dragged on, a monotonous sequence of lectures that seemed more like a prison than a place of learning. The teachers, with their earnest attempts to awaken our minds, felt distant to me, their words fading into a dull hum. It was amidst this disinterest that an idea sprouted, a revelation that struck me with its simplicity. I could voluntarily and legally quit school. It didn't take long for me to make a decision. I was tired of sitting behind desks, tired of feeling stagnant while the world outside thrived. The following day, I walked into the school office, my heart racing with a mixture of fear and excitement. The administrator, a woman with a botched updo and kind eyes, blinked in surprise as I expressed my intentions. She explained the risks, the challenges of leaving education at such a pivotal moment, but I waved off her concerns. "I just need to find something real," I said, my determination palpable. With my father's support, albeit reluctant, I officially dropped out. Almost immediately I found my first job working at a nearby gas station. My days were busy, filled with pumping gas and changing automobile tires, learning the ins and outs of simple mechanical jobs. Each task taught me about responsibility and diligence. Even the customers, with their diverse stories and lives, became threads weaving into my own narrative. I learned how to joke with a weary driver or provide a warm smile to a mother wrangling her kids in the back seat. I was no longer just a spectator. I was part of something larger, a community. Working at the gas station allowed me to not only earn my keep but to help my father financially. I watched the glow of gratitude in his eyes when I handed him my paycheck. "You're growing up fast, kid," he said, pride and worry intertwined in his voice. With every dollar I earned, I felt the weight of our lives shift slightly, and I breathed a little easier knowing I was contributing. I learned independence quickly. I discovered how to manage my time, balancing work shifts with the occasional moments of free time. I explored the city with friends, diving into the pulse of Chicago's nightlife, tasting freedom in ways I hadn't imagined. The thrill of making it on my own fueled me, igniting a passion for life I never thought possible. In this new chapter, while my father continued to clean offices, I crafted a legacy of my own, one tire rotation at a time. I was writing my own story now, and I was determined to see where the road would take me. The future loomed ahead, uncertain, yet exhilarating, and I was ready to embrace it, hands gripping the wheel as tightly as my heart gripped the dreams I was beginning to believe were possible. Yet, there was a void in my life, which I needed to fill. My days spun into a monotonous rhythm, each one almost indistinguishable from the last. Every weekday, my father would leave for work at 4 p.m., departing into the realm of late-night janitorial duties, armed with a heavy backpack filled with cleaning supplies, and a heart that bore the weight of responsibility. By the time the sun dipped below the horizon, I was left alone in our small apartment, the silence wrapping around me like a thick blanket. He returned home at sunrise, his footsteps slow and weary, needing to go to sleep after long hours of scrubbing floors and emptying trash cans in the cold halls of the downtown office buildings. My father provided for us, his dedication evident in the way he put in overtime whenever he could, yet his absence during evenings created a shadow in my life, an emptiness I couldn't shake. Except for weekends when we would venture out together, perhaps to the local diner for burgers or to the park where we'd sit on a rickety bench and watch the world around us. I felt lonely. Those moments were fleeting but precious, a reminder of the bond we shared. As the weeks stretched into months, the ache of solitude swelled in my chest. I wanted to feel connected, to be part of something larger than my small world. In my search for companionship, I began hanging out with other teenagers in the neighborhood. Initially it seemed like harmless fun, getting to know them, laughing over shared experiences, but eventually, the lure of escapism curled around me like smoke. They introduced me to a world that buzzed with reckless energy. I found myself sneaking into bars where the stench of cheap liquor coiled in the air, mingling with laughter and the clinking of glasses. The seductive pull of rebellion ignited something within me, drawing me further away from the carefully constructed walls I had built around myself. I started smoking cigarettes, the habit wrapping around my fingers like an unwelcome vine, a subtle act of defiance that simultaneously disgusted and fascinated me. One fateful night, I was coaxed into trying marijuana. Everyone else was laughing and sharing stories, their voices blending into a chorus of euphoric sounds. I took a shaky drag, expecting the world to transform into a colorful canvas of mirth. However, as the smoke clawed its way into my lungs, a wave of paranoia washed over me. The laughter of my friends grew distant, their faces melting into shadows. I suddenly felt exposed, as if the walls were closing in, and the lights had dimmed to a hazy blur. The experience was anything but enjoyable. Instead, it intensified my loneliness and anxiety. I could hardly carry on a conversation, my mind racing with thoughts that slashed through the haze, warning me that I didn't belong there, that I was on the edge of something I couldn't quite grasp. Surrounded by friends, I felt like a ghost, an outsider standing in a room full of vibrancy. It was suffocating. After that night, I made the decision to step back. I distanced myself from the crowd that once felt like my salvation. The nights of drink and smoke were not the escape I had hoped for. They were instead reminders of the void within me that had yet to be filled. I needed to confront my loneliness, to seek healthier connections, ones built on authenticity rather than the pale illusions of belonging found in smoke-filled rooms. So I turned inward, began exploring new hobbies, searched for ways to fill my evenings that didn't revolve around temporary highs. It wasn't easy, and at first it felt lonely, but slowly, I learned to appreciate my own company. It was in those quiet moments at home, poring over books, sketching in a notebook, that I began to uncover layers of myself that had long been dormant. My father's return remained a constant, a reminder that despite the void, love and connection resided in the simplest moments. I would wait for him at the door, ready to engage in those precious conversations we shared over dinner, finding solace in our relationship that filled the emptiness in a way reckless escapism never could. As we sat side by side, united in our individual struggles, I realized that perhaps it wasn't the void that needed to be filled, but rather my perspective on what it meant to be whole. And finally, I was beginning to understand that true belonging starts from within. During that time, I decided to become a taxi driver, which seemed like a lucrative way to fill the void in my life. The city was sprawling, a web of streets that pulsated with life and shadows, and amidst it all, I saw an opportunity. It wasn't just about earning a living, it was a chance to carve out my own identity, an existence behind the wheel of a yellow cab that would become my second home. First, I had to take classes and a test at the Office of Public Transportation, a necessary step to show my basic knowledge of the city and how to handle various situations that might arise. I found myself sitting in a crowded classroom filled with budding drivers, all of us slightly anxious yet excited. The instructor, a weathered man with a thick accent, conveyed the importance of knowing every street and hidden alley. He spoke of navigating through the chaos of rush hour and dealing with unruly passengers, his anecdotes both terrifying and amusing. Once I finished the classes and passed the test, I held the certificate like a badge of honor. I was now officially licensed to navigate the city's labyrinthine streets. A sense of freedom surged within me as I rented a taxi from a private company for $20 every 12 hours. It was an investment in my budding ambition, one I was determined to make pay off. The adrenaline rush of my first shift was intoxicating. I settled into the driver's seat, the smell of the leather mingling with the faint scent of gasoline. My heart raced as I turned on the meter for the first time, and I ventured out into the vibrant strings of Chicago. The streets were alive with lights, laughter, and the energizing hum of nightlife, beckoning me to become a part of it. In addition to the rental, I had to pay for the gasoline I used, But anything I made over the costs was mine, including tips. Weekends proved exceptionally profitable, especially at night. I soon discovered that I could earn over $100 net in less than 12 hours. My clients were mainly tourists, wide-eyed after stepping off buses or disembarking from their hotels, looking for good restaurants or the local burlesque nightclubs that promised thrilling performances. Each ride became an adventure filled with storytelling and laughter. I listened as they recounted tales of their travels, their excitement a mirror to my own as I lost myself in their narratives. They were eager to explore the city, and I felt like an unwitting guide, leading them through winding streets illuminated by the neon glow of signs offering girls fun and good times. Not only did I receive good tips from my clients, about $3 per person, but the nightclubs also paid me a minimum of $5 for every person I brought to their establishment. This side arrangement added a layer of excitement. It became a game as I cultivated relationships with club owners, learning just how to sweet-talk patrons into following me to their flashy doors. "Take me to the best spot!" they would demand, and I'd chuckle, my heart swelling with pride. "Buckle up, you're in for a treat," I'd reply, feeling like a conductor orchestrating a symphony of laughter and revelry, guiding them toward indulgence. As my nights transformed into a blend of laughter, clinking glasses, and lively music, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was part of something larger than myself. Each passenger brought in stories and dreams, and the city morphed into a mosaic of fleeting moments, a snapshot of lives colliding and merging, however temporarily. Yet, in the stillness before dawn, as I parked my cab and stepped out into the quiet streets, the reality crept back in. The loneliness I had initially sought to escape returned, whispering in the shadows. For every contingent of tourists who filled my nights with chatter, there were the long, silent hours spent driving home, where the city transformed into a lonely landscape, all lights extinguished, all laughter replaced with the stillness of the morning. Despite this, I took solace in the knowledge that life continued to pulse around me. Each smile, each tip, and each story added color to my narrative, reminding me of the connections we make, even if only for a fleeting moment. In this life behind the wheel, I was not merely a driver but a participant in the great mosaic of human experience, and perhaps that was enough to fill the void, if only temporarily. In a city alive with desire and dreams, I had found a rhythm, a dance of my own in the yellow escapade of daily life.
For those of you who wish to purchase the first 2 complete books of my biography, please check out the description where you will find the links to my books published on Amazon, and you can write any questions or comments below this video.